सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणि विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धे भवतु मे सदा वसुदेवं सुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं Hari Om. So we are on the 20th celebrating, I think, 100 years of a particular spiritual experience of Sri Aurobindo on 24th November in 1926. That is also celebrated, 24th November every year is celebrated here in the Sri Aurobindo Ashram in Pondicherry as a day of victory. It was this day that Sri Aurobindo received certain occult experiences, and it was a completion of one type of sadhana. And it was also incidentally the foundation of the Sri Aurobindo ashram as well after that. So we will be looking at what Sri Aurobindo has said about his experience. Before that, can anybody share something about Sri Aurobindo and his connection with Krishna? Anybody? Yes?
The only thing I know,
Ji?
sadly, is his connection started when he was in Alipur jail,
Yeah, it was in Alipur jail. Yeah.
and that's where his connection started.
Okay. And why did he go to Alipur jail? He was jailed for what crime?
He he was accused of a crime he never committed,
Okay.
of bombing.
Okay, the Hollywood bomb conspiracy case, quite famous
Yes,
one,
conspiracy. Yes, that's the one.
and that is where he received what we can say experience, a direct sakshatkar of Sri Krishna. It is said that Sri Krishna placed the Gita in his hands. He told him that a kind of direction was given to him, the direction for even Bharat, because India was going to be free, but in which direction should the free India proceed? That work had to be done when Krishna had taken the responsibility of ensuring that Bharat gets free. But what is going to happen afterwards? So that was something which was very significant. And this experience led to a very different change also in Sri Aurobindo's personal life. It was a new start, and from here onwards, the journey began. We will just look at what is the experience of Sri Aurobindo in Alipur jail. It was here that the great yogi, the great Maharshi, who had such great aspirations for the world, not just India. And here, under a false pretext, under the false case, he is being trapped. It was not an ordinary prison cell, also. It was one of the worst of prison cells. Anybody knows how big that prison cell was?
Sorry, I didn't catch your last sentence.
Yeah,
Apologies.
so the prison cell of Sri Aurobindo, where he was in Alipur, it was like a trap, isn't it? For somebody, such a great soul who has such great vision, not just for India, but for world, humanity at large. And that person is being trapped into a case which would, if proven against him, he would be hanged. That was this kind of situation. And even we have lots of freedom fighters who had very nice, comfortable prison cells. But did Sri Aurobindo receive a comfortable one? Was
No,
it?
he was like any other prisoner amongst thieves, murderers,
Yeah.
etc. So he was just as good as the next one.
And this was a very special, very small one. It was a 6 by 9 feet
Yeah.
solitary confinement. That was almost an
Yes,
entire year.
yes,
I I think any of us are trapped in one room for more than 2 hours, we start feeling suffocated. Here
yes,
for an entire year, and that to somebody with such great vision is now being materially stopped. One would say this is a direct physical prison. What can happen out of this? What can be achieved? But this is now a pilgrimage center also for so many people. That same prison which housed him, that dingy cage of 6 by 9, because that was where several experiences were got, and that was a turning point. That was the turn of a different direction in Maharishi Arvind's yoga only. So I've just written a poem on the experience of Sri Aurobindo in Alipur. That is based on the experience that Sri Aurobindo had said, and it was in the Uttarpara speech that he beautifully explained what was it, what was his experience in the cell. So let us just go through it. That will at least allow us to first see the that great connection with Krishna that Sri Aurobindo got. How is this experience that he had got that time? And then we will connect it to the interesting experience on 24th November 1926. That was the year when Krishna consciously participated and also affixed himself in Sri Aurobindo's physical self for the sadhana to go ahead. So just let us look at the Alipur experience of Sri Aurobindo in jail. So just for the sake of poetry and for the sake of a visualization, I have written it in first person. Let us just imagine it as Sri Aurobindo sharing something. Dearest, a prisoner I was in a lone cell. Alone, my pain I couldn't share or tell. With a deathly noose hanging atop, my life's aspiration, fate tried to stop. Hunger and thirst began blaring signs of defeat. I lay confined in a cage 6 by 9 feet. A year passed. I wondered if this was the end of the leader, the symbol, the legend. A barrage of thoughts left me mad. Why God was the burning question sad. So one thing, we just stop here. It is the great yogi also, who is known for his poise, also who in all of it. Even he was experiencing such great pressures on the inside. At that time, we can say he was very close, according to his own experience, that what is the line between sanity and insanity that he was questioning at that particular time. And the question of why. Do we not ask this question, why God? Do we ask this many times? Or we always ask it whenever anything gets out
no.
of, doesn't happen? Yes, Shashiji?
No, I said we do constantly when it's not in our favor,
Not in
like
our
a
favor.
petulant child. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
you know,
Yes, yes,
we never say why me when it's good things happening. We just
yes,
take it in our stride like it's meant to be. Why is the
yes.
other thing not meant to be then?
Yes, yes. So the asking of share window is quite different from what we ask every single day. This was actually for this is a legend who has got the inner call, who has got the experience. Wherever Shervindo went, people got that experience of divinity in him, even before
Yes,
he fully realized it. And so suddenly facing such a strong material hurdle, and that is the way of the world. Way of the world is contrast. Even if you see the Bhagavad Gita as well, it begins with the great sorrow for Arjuna. So we can see it is because Sri Aurobindo has done this sadhana for the sake of the world. He too had to experience the same pains that everybody in the world face. And this was his very earnest question to Krishna. And then let us continue. But all the inner turmoil and noise faded as I summoned an inner poise. And dearest, you taught me lessons three. that ultimately only set me free. So here Krishna has taught Sri Aurobindo three lessons according to Sri Aurobindo's own words in the Uttarpara speech. What are they? Let us see. The first, at the borders of insanity, I found the vista of the inner clarity. Next, beyond the limits of the mind, a higher tranquility I did verily find, recognizing finally how personal effort was a blunder without a complete and divine surrender. So, in that difficult moment of his life, Sri Aurobindo learned three lessons directly from Krishna. Before we look at the three lessons, is this a hallucination or does Krishna really teach us in life?
Won't be a hallucination for an advanced soul like Sri Aurobindo.
Yes, yes. So it is not a hallucination. We can definitely say because such a great soul cannot have hallucination because we have seen their life journeys, even in his freedom struggle or in the sadhana. Why would Rabindranath Tagore come and bow to such a great soul? So many great realized ones. So we cannot question the pramana. But then comes the important question, will Krishna come to teach us in our life? Is it possible to learn directly from Krishna? That is my question.
Only if one is open,
One is open and
sincerely open.
sincere. Okay, well, beautiful. Shishiji has said one is sincere and open. Krishna can teach, isn't it? Is there a particular kshetra that Krishna will teach? Coastal Karnataka only, or in Mathura only? Or is there a
No,
particular kshetra? Or he can
it would be
teach
this.
anywhere? Yes, it?
Yeah,
Yes.
it would apply to the individual bodies or kshetra.
Okay, yeah,
So
beautiful. Yes, the idam shariram kaunteya. This is the kshetra is the sharira, and there is one kshetrajna who is the lord of the kshetras. That is the divine, and he says sarva kshetreshu bharata in the Gita, meaning that is Krishna can teach. He can teach us here. He can teach us any moment wherever we are. Wherever we are, we can learn from Krishna, and can we can learn from any place and anywhere. Meaning a complete buffoon can also come and teach us something because behind the buffoon, if there is Krishna moving his hands, we will learn. There's nothing wrong. We can learn from anywhere we want. I mean, more than what we want, we should be ready whichever direction Krishna teaches. And here, inside of this prison, Sri Aurobindo learned three direct lessons which are very essential for us also. We can actually, it is always nice when when we have such masters who have done sadhana and have gone ahead, we can try to learn from their experiences. So if we say first, we can see on the borders of insanity, he found the inner clarity. It's like in the darkest night, after that only there is dawn, isn't it? Sometimes it is okay. We might be extremely confused. We may not understand what is going on in my life, what is going on. We can't make head or tail of certain things. We might have done everything right to the best of our knowledge, and yet it may be perceived as wrong, or it may be suddenly going against us only, all the right and all the good that we have done, that we may start questioning our sanity. If it can happen to a great yogi like Sri Aurobindo, I think we also should not be too harsh on ourselves when such moments come because we see Sri Aurobindo also got a light. He got a great inner clarity at that particular. Sometimes you have to go to the edge and then you get a completely different perspective at that time. So that was the first experience. So we can draw that inference definitely. The second one, beyond the limits of the mind, a higher tranquility that I did find. This was probably the beginning of Sri Aurobindo's Yoga Sadhana, which is about transcending the limits of the mind. The great opening was given by Sri Krishna. Beyond the mind, there's a beautiful, beautiful kingdom. There is a beautiful kingdom that is waiting to be, It's open for everybody, but we are waiting to get that experience because we are many times trapped by our own limitations of logic, limitations of our mind. So if we want to realize certain things, we will have to stop analyzing with the logical mind and realize that the divine can lead us if we allow him to hold our hands and take us. He can lead us to that dream of consciousness. We're not talking about leaving this world and going elsewhere. Nobody is giving any free ticket or any ticket to another world. But it is in this world as we live and breathe and experience life. At that time also, there is a possibility of transcending. Sri Aurobindo has actually transcended so many levels of mind and gone beyond the mind and shown us the way to, they call the sunlit path. So many different levels of consciousness are there. There's the higher mind, there is the illumined mind, there is something called the overmind, and ultimately something called the supermind. Well, this sadhana began inside of the prison. How many of us are trapped in a 6 by 9 feet cage and having a sentence? How many of us are serving a sentence where we are going to be hanged for a crime we have not committed? I don't think
Mm.
so, isn't it? So we have a greater potential because, in a way, we can say we are a little bit more comfortable situation. If in that case we must not get lax just because of the comfort we have got. There may be so many reasons why we are in a comfortable position today, but let us not relax. Instead, let us use this. So that was the second lesson. And the third one was a very important one. It's very funny also. How personal effort was a blunder without a complete and divine surrender. And people don't do efforts, and that is the biggest blunder. But here, personal effort is only called a blunder. Anybody, could you shed some light on this? How can personal effort become a blunder? If you look at the lines, without a complete and divine surrender.
Um,
How? Yes, yes.
I I think that um, when we open up to God and when we trust, then one doesn't have to really in situations. If we totally trust and offer, our for guidance, and then leave it be, it it will come to us. In the sense when you thoroughly, like a child, asking for help and then waiting, that it will come. So you have to have that childlike
It's a
um,
sincerity and a
faith,
complete
the
surrender to the divine.
sincerity. Absolutely, you have to get out of your own way. Um, the ego, anything, me, etc. Because when we ask for help, we should at least wait to see what comes through,
Uh,
quieten down, be silent to see what's coming.
Many times we are restless and in a hurry we think we have to take efforts to manifest certain
Yes,
things. But it is
yes,
the
absolutely.
manifestation which is brought about by the divine, not the individual. And
Yes,
it is sometimes what we can say, sometimes our efforts become what we call like aimless flapping also. Because if it is the
yeah,
divine will is not there, I think it is
yes.
vitamin B deficiency in chicken. Start flapping in circles. It is a
That could
deficiency.
also be true, though.
Yeah.
The
So that
vitamin
is,
deficiency.
yeah, it is something like that. So personal effort, even in
Yeah.
the Gita, it has been told it is nothing without the divine. Krishna says,
Yes.
Arjuna, keep quiet. Indirectly, he tells that. He says, Nimitta matram bhava savya sachin. Become the instrument. Let my arrows rain. I have already slain all your enemies. What do you think you are doing? The karta bhava. If you forget that. I am the doer. I am doing this action. That aspect, if we take it out, we will be able to participate in a right manner in the yajna because, as Krishna has said, it is the kartaram. He's the one, he is the karta, he is the doer, and he's bhoktaram, yajna tapasam, sarva loka maheshwara. Every loka, he is also the receiver. So we don't have to worry. He is going to take what he needs. Can we hold back something? just because I like it. Can we hold it from the divine if the divine wants to take it away from us?
No, it's
No.
his will.
It is going to be taken. It is going to be taken and it will be taken away. If you keep putting personal efforts to block the divine will, you will suffer more. So this is where we have to surrender and let go of the personal effort. Maybe we are in a soup. Maybe we are getting lots of bad news coming from different direction. But it's okay. Stop thinking you alone are the doer. It is simple. Na ham karta, hare he karta. The divine is the doer. I'm just the instrument. Maybe I'm in a soup, but it's the divine who has put me in a soup. He'll take me out when he wishes. If we have that bhava, it is actually very useful because that was one aspect which one of the third point which Sri Aurobindo said. And then what happened actually? These three lessons made a sea change of the entire experience of life in Alipur only for Sri Aurobindo in the Alipur jail. Now, suddenly in the dingy cage, all was fine as I began to experience a life divine. For everywhere I only saw your face's reflection, your majesty's beauty was beyond human comprehension. Krishna's beauty was visible to Sri Aurobindo inside of that prison. Nothing changed. Materially, nothing changed, and yet everything changed with the insight, with the higher insight. There was something very special about prisons. I don't know. That should not motivate us to get into a prison, but you see, even we can say a very close associate of Sri Aurobindo in the freedom movement, Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak. He also was put into a prison and he wrote something on the Gita called the Gita Rahasya. Maharashtrians pick it in their head with such respect because that is such a great book. But this goes to show that it does not matter where you are in your most difficult situation, also you can learn. You can learn and you can grow. And here, suddenly life has got transformed for Sri Aurobindo. He's experiencing divinity. Everywhere he's saying, for everywhere I only saw your face's reflection. Your Majesty's beauty was beyond human comprehension. As a child, I think Shashiji just told that we have to be like a child. Sherwind was describing himself also, feeling like he's a child in the Universal Mother's bosom. As a child in the Universal Mother's bosom, a new spiritual realization began to blossom. The walls now began to crumble and fall. I could clearly see the one veiled in all. Dearest Krishna, Vasudeva, Krishna, Vasudeva, Narayana, how should I call? Visible you became, even in the bars and the wall. Even in the prison wall, he was able to see Narayana. He's saying, how do I call you? Which name? So many names of the same one. I'm able to see everywhere. He goes on, Dearest, I found you as you simply surrounded me and saw how no cage could now bind me. Walking under the branches, I came to know how you were cocooning me in your shadow. You see, during that present time, there was a small portion of time which was allotted for him to take a small walk. There also, under the trees, he saw how he is being cocooned by the divine's protection. These are all experience of lovers of the divine. And who is a lover of the divine? It's the truest lover is the lover of the divine. The best lover is the one who is able to keep the divine at the highest. The love for the divine first, everybody else comes next. Such a person can only experience this. And here he says, walking under the branches, I came to know how you were cocooning me in your shadow. The rods and the grating of the prison cell were also you. I could smile and tell. I saw how you were standing sentry, guarding beautifully the cage's entry. The coarse blankets too, as your arms became, for in them I could feel the beloved's touch and name. So that small rug, which was a very rough one, that was present, what was given to Sri Aurobindo as a minimum requirement. Well, that rug also felt like the arms of Madhava holding our Sri Aurobindo. He could feel that in that rug also the great compassion of the divine. In other inmates, swindlers and murderers too, in all the misused bodies too, I only saw you. So this is beautiful. This is a true experience of the Gita. Krishna has told in the Gita that this is such a rare experience, what Sri Aurobindo got. Vasudevam Sarvamiti, Samahatma Sadurlabham. It is so rare that with the mortal eye you can get this experience. It comes once in a lifetime or many lifetimes for the yogis. Our Sri Aurobindo was receiving that. He was experiencing it. He saw in other inmates also the petty criminals, the swindlers, the crooks, the murderers. Inside of them also, he used the beautiful term, misused bodies. In the misused bodies too, I only saw you. As I used the vision that you gave me, why I was imprisoned, I could clearly see. Celebrating your gift of the divine sight, I tasted your ambrosia of ecstatic delight. The realms beyond the mind were now clear. New horizons have now begun to appear. This was something very beautiful. That Shanti, isn't it? That quietude, a great insight descended, a great quietude descended into Sri Aurobindo, and he was able to view that. He was able to see things, new horizon. What is a horizon? It is anybody.
What is?
Horizon or horizon. How do you pronounce it?
Oh, doesn't matter. The meaning's the same.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
normally say horizon.
Horizon. Okay. Horizon. What is that? It is the end
It's,
of the eyesight, isn't our line we can see at the
yes.
end, and just imagine seeing that this horizon is not the end. That there are beyond that there are more. There are more. It is something like you climb on top of a peak and you find that this peak's top is not just the top. There are greater heights that are to be ascended. That is what our Sri Aurobindo was receiving it. That was what he was experiencing. New horizons have now begun to appear because the realms of the mind and beyond were suddenly clear. Means Sri Aurobindo understood a great way to a new journey has to begin. Then quoting what Sri Aurobindo's words from the first few lines of the Savitri, first line of the Savitri, it was the hour before the gods awake. Dearest, my supramental plunge I shall now make. Basically, this was the beginning. This was the beginning of Sri Aurobindo's sadhana of integral yoga, of Purna yoga. And this sadhana went ahead for several years. And the next great experience of Krishna came in almost 18 years later. 18 years later of continuous sadhana going on. We can understand this is the tapasya has to be done, isn't it? It is not to be done once and stopped and that year I had done a lot of chanting. So that a lot of people say that here it is continuously does not stop because the direction is clear. The direction is clear, the perseverance is there, and the great yogi Sri Aurobindo, what sacrifices he had to make in his personal life, sacrifices for everything, everything he had just for what reason? For the sake of humanity. How does one get a motivation? Only the divine are able to be motivated like this, to work under challenges. And so 18 years later, that is where the second experience came, which is celebrated as the Siddhi Day also, Sakala Siddhi experience of Sri Aurobindo on 24th November 1926. So we are actually 100 years later. And yet, most of the people in Bharat are yet not aware. I'm not aware of that experience also and what it is and what is the direction. But the direction has already been given. And in that direction, so many souls are walking in that light. Many are people we know on the outside, and many people we don't know also, they are still going on. So that we will look at that experience also because one thing was very interesting. Sri Aurobindo, when he got that experience, He did not speak much about it at all. The mother also came and she said to Sri Aurobindo that she saw Sri Krishna coming and affixing himself into Sri Aurobindo. That time also quite nonchalantly he just said yes. And he had not talked much also. The mother had also later on recollected and she had smiled by saying that only a few handful of sadhaks were there. And at that time, after that experience, he just came and he announced to everybody to the surprise of the mother also that he said, now henceforth all work will be done by the mother. I am going to go inwards. The ashram was formed after that only. That now you have to address everything you will address to the mother only. Henceforth, all further everybody some got surprised, some got disillusioned, somebody didn't understand. But it was shared with the word quickly withdrawn after this experience for a different type of sadhana he had to do. And it was said that he had already achieved something, and that was where many people experience understand that that was the foundation of what was the Sri Aurobindo ashram. Because it is like somebody sometimes has to earn. Before you earn, can you give others? Is it possible without earning, giving?
No.
No, isn't it? So it was something like that. Sherwindo wanted to first establish something, get some concrete understanding of the possibility and manifestation because these are for humanity. It will take years. It will take maybe even after 100 years, people will start understanding what are the high principles that Sherwindo has said. Maybe contemporary times people are too busy to even understand or have the time to understand, or they are not yet ready to understand. It could be any of the reasons. But that was one clarity which was required. And when that clarity came, then the next journey began, the journey for the supramental, what is called the descent of the supramental. This Sri Aurobindo's experience with Krishna, it is called the descent of the overmind. We will just look at what Sri Aurobindo has said about it in short. I mean, I have just rendered it into poetry. We'll just look at that and we'll try to see piece something because I too am just like a blind man walking around and talking about Sri Aurobindo's experiences. Not really experienced anything myself, but it's okay if I can't see the sun, but I can actually feel the warmth of the sun. That is enough. Blind eyes can also feel warmth. That much is there. So let us see. We continue. Shri Krishna in Sri Aurobindo. Victory Day. This is just a poetic rendition of the experience that Sri Aurobindo has shared. One very funny thing was a lot of people started making different assumptions. Now this has happened. Sri Aurobindo has now got immortality. Krishna has now come here, so this has happened. So many clarifications for the next few years. Sri Aurobindo and mother had to give on what is this realization and what it is not, because a lot of people were first giving different half formed ideas of whatever they understood. So that was one of the times where Sri Aurobindo clarified, and it is so great that because it was clarified, we can actually understand and hear from the master what was his experience. Let us see. 18 years after the Alipur Adesh, you finally gave the consent into the physical, dearest. You brought about your descent. As you are fixed into my physical, I could experience and see the opening you gave for the supramental world that would verily be. So it is very clear that this is not itself what is the great peak of sharing those Purna Yoga, that is the descent of the supermind or the supramental manifestation. This is something which is an intermediary state before that. That is what had happened in 1926. We can understand that much. The opening you gave for the supramental world that would verily be. The overmental descent was overwhelming and vast in its infinitude. The central ego was forever expunged and cast. If you see in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has told that as the vibhaga of the kshetras, different parts of the field, in that there is mana, buddhi, ahankar. Ahankar is also a part. Ego is there inside everyone. If I say I have no ego, you have to ask me who is the I who is saying I don't have ego. It is I, Agankar only. So every single one of us has that. And when will that happen? When we not try, when we actually reach that state, we have to aspire. Basically, an entire life sadhana is about trying to come out of that. But what is that is a big question. A lot of people in an emotional state reject the world only. Again, that is an egoistic rejection without recognizing the possibility of the divinity in the world. So here, in this over-mental experience, what Sri Aurobindo had, he said the central ego that was permanently removed, permanently cast away, because it was so vast. I think anybody would have, can you just describe your experience on watching the vast sea for probably the first time or from your memory? How did you feel, if you can recollect? Or
The
even
vast
now, if you
what?
go, vast sea, the sea,
Oh,
the samudra.
scary, scary.
Scary. Okay.
Yes.
Rashidi says scary. All right. Alpanaji?
Yeah.
Overwhelming. It was overwhelming. And then,
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
I thought that God is so great. How much, so many big things He has created. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh,
Yes. Yes. It is.
uh,
It is that
I was in
vastness.
awe of His creation. Oh my goodness. That way. It's so
Yeah.
big, huge.
Yes.
Yeah.
We feel very insignificant, isn't it, in front of that?
Absolutely.
Means
दरिया
I
में
am so
खसखस
and
भी नहीं.
so.
हाँ.
I may
Yeah.
be the head of an organization which has 10,000 people, but even all those people keeping in front of the sea, they are nothing because it's so vast. Or looking at the sky. Because something like that, that is the experience sharing with the God of the overmental descent as it entered inside. Suddenly, whatever remnant of already yogis are busy purifying themselves. If we have little ego, they'll have the rarest of micro, what we can say, on the most minutest level, if at all it is there. Well, even that was completely removed in the bright vastness of the overmind, whatever descent of over mental descent had taken place in that. That is what we can see. Let us continue. In its infinitude, the central ego was forever expunged and cast. For the experience of a universal consciousness took control, and the individual ego movements were sublimated as a whole. Meaning, the universal consciousness, there is a universal consciousness that is connecting every single one of us. Why every single living being, even non living beings, it is connecting. It is that Chaitanya which is there inside. In the ant also, in the elephant also, in the smallest of creatures also, in the plants also, in the trees also, every single one. And suddenly this was some kind of understanding of that universal consciousness in which suddenly the individual ego movements, they were sublimated as a whole. I can take pride, no, I have a big home or a big car when I am on the ground. When I sit from the aeroplane, will it make a difference if my car is small or big? If I see from the sky, if I get a bird's eye view where from extremely from a high point, it will look like a small dot only, isn't it? It does not matter because that perspective suddenly changes. So in that perspective, there's no room for any small ego moments. All have got sublimated. People fight because they think I am different. Another person thinks I am different. But suddenly, if we say, oh, you are my brothers, we are all one, what happens then? Suddenly, whatever discord or disharmony is there, internal or external, that can get sublimated or become one. And that is exactly that happened to our master. The individual ego moments were sublimated as a whole. Vestigial remnants of the older self tended to surface again, but in the oceanic stillness, their ripples did not remain. This was something. Means, see, we are all having a swabhava. Each person has a swabhava, isn't it? Some people, some kids are also by default cranky. It's not like only at old age only, childhood only, some children are always cranky. And there are some children who are always silent. because each person has a swabhava. So here, what we see, even in this environmental state, there were some remnants of whatever older self. They tended to put there. It's like trying to come out again. But in the oceanic stillness, their ripples did not remain. It's like you throw a pebble in the ocean. Will it cause a disturbance in the ocean's calmness?
No.
Not at all. It was like that because that was the vast experience of oneness there. But in the oceanic stillness, their ripples did not remain. Thoughts, no more from the physical or the individual originated as waves from the cosmic mind above, they descended and propagated. This is very beautiful. Actually, we are getting a blueprint of the master's working. He has only shared to us. If you just can anybody imagine how Sri Aurobindo wrote so many books? Did he use his mind to write them? Personal thoughts? Anyone?
I believe, like Savitri, like he was writing, it was all flowing from above.
Yes, yes,
That's
that
what
was his
I've heard.
experience. Yes, yes, it was from above. And Sri Aurobindo said he did not want his physical self also to, come as a interference to that reception. It should directly go into the pen, and that was what he was channeling the entire flow. And even before the Alipur experience that we talked about, which heightened his full understanding of surrender, but even at that time he would practice what was called automatic writing.
Hmm.
And the other great freedom fighters around him would have fun laughing because he also would not know. He would just summon the force, and the force would come in, and something would be written. Once it was written that some particular freedom fighter will throw a bomb on somebody else, and all had a laugh because if this paper went into the hands of the British, it would become evidence. But this was not something that was thought by the mind. So this again shows a beautiful process of working beyond the mind. It is possible. We have to first at least realize that things are beyond the capacity of our mind, at least. Then only we will be able to experience. And here we get a direct insight of the master. It is so beautiful. He says here that thoughts no more from the physical or the individual originated. It's not the individual who is visualizing and thinking. Thoughts are not coming from here. Instead, as waves from the cosmic mind above, they descended and propagated. The descent from the cosmic mind is taking place into the individual, and the waves are spreading. Is it possible for two people in different places to have the same thought?
It is.
It is because there is a Vishwamanas. And I had a very good fortune of meeting a very senior citizen who also was writing poetry and rhymes. And he presented me a book because he said, I don't see many rhyme writers nowadays. It was very nice. He gave me his book. I was so surprised to see some poems having the very similar themes. Now, I didn't meet him. He didn't meet me. I didn't copy from him. He didn't copy from me. But we could get inspired by the same thing, isn't it? Something like that. But there is a cosmic mind which is there, the divine's consciousness is spread everywhere. We have to try to be receptive of that. And here in this state which Sri Aurobindo reached, he could feel that they're coming like waves. They're just coming that way. He's able to experience it. If we get into that state, what is going to happen? Well, new creations will take place in our life. So many new creations. If you see, this is a Siddhi only. You read in the Siddha Kunjika Statra also, it is there. Om Kari Srushti Rupaya, Rim Kari Pratipalika, Klim Kari Kamarupinye, Bija Rupe Namastu. To that Devi, we go and worship her and saying Om Kari Srushti Rupaya. The new Srushti can be created by those vibrations. Rim Kari Pratipalika, that Srushti can flourish and grow. And all the manifestations take place. Well, how is that going to happen? It's through greater consciousness. So that consciousness, if we connect to, we can get great ideas. It does not mean we need to sit and write poetry only. Ideas are not for poetry. Great ideas come and your garden will suddenly start flowering with beautiful flowers, isn't it? You will understand suddenly, oh, this soil, you are able to understand, okay, this particular plant wants to blossom here, let me just do this. Because that force of the divine will start working through us. In a little actions, little aspects, it can be done. And here, Krishna, Sri Aurobindo is saying that and now there's no harm in saying Krishna and Sri Aurobindo is one because they already became one. So our Krishna, our Sri Aurobindo is saying that as waves from the cosmic mind above, they descended and propagated. The descent brought about a perceptual transformation wherein every individual insight became a revelation, as an understanding from the universal source came of things that were seen and then confirmed became. Meaning every individual insight and perception was just like a confirmation of something at some other plane. It has happened already and now it is happening. It became like a revelation and confirmation of things that were already manifest elsewhere. For in the scheme of things, the individual was but a point connected in the cosmic consciousness, relative, not disjoint. This is the state of yoga, isn't it? It is a state of
Mm.
union, union with the supreme consciousness. And there's no disjoint or disharmony or no viyoga. That is a perfect yoga. What happens when yoga is there, when you are connected with the divine? Even if you are in a battlefield, even if you are a crying Arjuna, you can receive Gita from Krishna in the state of yoga. Krishna himself said that. In the yoga yukto bhavarjuna. It's like I told at the state of, when I was in yoga, I was in connection, so I could give you those 700 shlokas. If you're asking me again, I will have to connect with the cosmic mind, and this time I can fetch you only 300. And the Anugita was born. So this aspect, connection with the divinity at all times, it is required and we must recognize that. And here, Sri Aurobindo got that experience. He says he is, as an individual, was just like a point connected in the cosmic consciousness. Relative, not disjoint, but a medium and conduit relaying the pulse cosmic, a part of the continuum of waves, not an existence sporadic. So it's like he is able to experience himself as a nimitta for that cosmic consciousness that is manifesting. When the mother had talked about saluting the mortal envelope of Sri Aurobindo because the mortal envelope was left behind, but that Chaitanya, that cosmic consciousness is working continuously. Even now, many people who have got a greater insight, have been able to see Sri Aurobindo's movement and action behind the scenes in what they call subtle physical. So this aspect as a continuum of waves, it was just beautiful. And it's not sudden, random or sporadic one. It was like a movement continuously radiating and experiencing. All emotions and sensory perceptions upon the cosmic reverberated, received from the gross and subtle self, the vibrations were reciprocated. Whatever individual perceptions, yes, they are there, but they were just conveyed back to that channel. It is simple. It's our Gita also teaches us that only, isn't it? Krishna Arpanam, push it back. Whatever experiences you are having, stop trying to keep yourself disconnected from the divine. Stop thinking you are away from the divine or you are separate from the divine. Instead, use the experience that you are getting as a channel to pass it on. It's like Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavir, Brahmagno, Brahmanautam, Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhinam, or that is the consciousness of the Brahman, which is cosmic. Everything is coming from there, going there, it is getting liberated also there only, it is getting merged also there, something of that sort. He was experiencing, and it was like just a reception from the gross and subtle self, and they were reciprocated there. The disappearance of the sense self was not a nihilistic extinction, rather, a means for the individual to experience the cosmic pervasion. Means this suddenly I am nothing. If we just say you are nothing and you start losing your individual self completely, what will happen? Then you really become nothing, isn't it? This was not a nihilistic extinction. Instead, what was it? It was a means for the individual to experience oneness. It is so simple. It's like water is like a bubble, no? A water bubble. What is the water bubble? It's just air and a film around it, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
If it is removed, the film is removed. What happens then?
The air escapes.
Or doesn't it become one? Or like a drop and the ocean drop becomes the ocean, isn't it?
Yes. So
Or does the
water,
drop
yes,
become
becomes
extinct?
correct. Correct.
Isn't it? So this becoming is what is the beautiful oneness of the self has to recognize that yes, it is part of that beautiful continuum. Well, that was the experience Aurobindo said he got. Disappearance of self was not a nihilistic extinction, rather a means for the individual to experience the cosmic pervasion. And emancipation, a becoming that was boundless and ecstatic, where remained the consciousness, forces, and the delight cosmic. A divya ananda, that was all that was remaining. Everything was ananda. And so many of our saints have experienced that. They call it Satchidananda.
Mm.
One Ananda of becoming one with that supreme bliss of the divine and bliss and delight. Yeah, this Tukaram Maharaj, I think, sung this. Isn't it? Anandache dohe, Ananda taranga.
Taranga. Mm. Yes.
Anandache anga, na?
आनंदाचे डोही आनंद तरंग.
Yes, Ananda taranga and ripples of Ananda everywhere. And the body is also Ananda only. It is experiencing Ananda everywhere. That beautiful experience, something of that sort.
तर
They were. Yes,
just
Alpanaji, you're
wanted to
saying
share
some.
only once in my life abhi tak till now I've
Yeah.
experienced that one small moment. I don't know how, 1 second, 2 seconds,
Wow.
where those
Hmm.
waves, Anand Lahari, what I had heard about it,
Huh.
but it was
Yeah.
not that I had imagined it. I really
Okay.
felt that just for maybe a split second or whatever.
Wow. When was
That
that, Ji?
feeling, this was many years back when I used
But
to do a
could
lot
you
of
give us a
chanting.
little bit of, because we are all wanting to get that. It is like one person eats a wonderful ice cream and shows it on TV that I'm eating the ice cream. Other people will not get the taste. No? They'll also, you have to help them. You have to help us. You have to help me. So
That
how do you,
joy.
what was the preceding moments before you
Actually, I don't
experienced
remember.
that?
I used to do a lot of chanting meditation that time. Now,
Okay.
somewhere in this lecture also you have mentioned that I used to do it, but now I don't. I really don't do it that
Okay.
much.
It
But
was
I don't
as
remember
a,
the background. But I
during
just
your chanting, a
thinking.
sadhana which was going on during that time. Is it Alpanaji?
No, not that time. Also, I had just come home and washed my feet and all, and was just sitting there, and
Hmm.
went to pray to the God, that mandir in the house. And
Ah.
then while going, I think I had that just standing in front of it. I don't remember while I was walking to the mandir or while standing. Just got that split second of, as if your whole being is like, uh,
Wow.
yeah, that goosebumps were there all over my body. My that waves and waves in my heart. You could
Okay.
feel, that if the blood is like waves are rising, and
Ah,
that moment I can't describe you, but I
okay.
never felt it again in my life. This was like
You had
maybe
not
12.
consumed any intoxicating substances, isn't it,
Nothing. No, no,
Alpanaji?
I never used to take. No,
So
no.
this is what we call a natural experience, and it was
Oh my
not due
God,
to
yeah. I
some
have never felt
art.
that any time
Yes.
after ever that but I
Would
always
it
thank
would it
God.
be beautiful, Alpanaji? Will it be
Uh,
possible to experience if that can be extended over a period of time? It would be very brilliant life experience only, no?
yeah, that is true. I
If,
always
if,
felt that I
if
always tell
one
God
second
that,
you are able to remember, if 1 second
yes,
you are able to remember so many moments later, imagine
yes,
if you are
true.
able to keep it sustained.
Wow,
Yes,
I would
yes.
be in some different
I think
state
that is what we
in this
should all
bus.
aspire for because becoming
Yes,
awakened, not getting disconnected from the world or the reality of our duties, and yet being able to experience. Anyway, let us
yeah,
continue what our Shervindo was
yeah.
explaining about. Yes, ji, thank you for
Sure,
sharing,
sure.
Arpanaji. Yes. So this it was something an emancipation, a becoming that was boundless and ecstatic, where remained the consciousness. forces and delight cosmic, making the individual self a vast field for the game of manifestation. The mind, life, and body consciously found. The mind, life, and body consciously found need for seamless participation. A delight felt within was now palpable and experienced everywhere, no more individualized. The consciousness was now all pervasive like air. So, this is so beautiful. Mind, the life, and the body all have to participate in the yoga also. Do not reject the body, do not throw the mind away. Let them all participate because this is the integral yoga, this is the Purna yoga, where all are going to be important instruments. A seamless participation, and that delight was then felt where everywhere it was palpable. No more individualized. The consciousness was now all pervasive like air. And Sri Aurobindo's experience went on. It was about the God presence has been affixed permanently. Everything has now changed. My sadhana proceeds. The supramental descent will have to be arranged. Krishna and I are now in the physical one and no more two. By his consent, the descent of the supermind will ensue. Sometime when I'm ready, we will talk about what a supermind is. Right now, I'm still in a don't mind phase. Before going to higher mind, overmind, all of that, supermind is still far away. But here, Sri Aurobindo has talked about this. These words also, they are just a poetic interpretation of what Sri Aurobindo's words are there. We can actually read the exact words of Sri Aurobindo. But here, this affixing of the permanent affixing of Krishna into Sri Aurobindo, this was seen and felt by the several sadhaks, and the mother actually saw it happen. And in an occult experience, she even asked Krishna, and Krishna had also affirmed the same thing. So this
Hmm.
aspect of for permanent entry of Krishna into Sri Aurobindo created a new direction. Krishna created the opening for what they call supramental manifestation. Sri Aurobindo himself has said that without him, without his grace, it would not have been possible. And he and I are one, physical, no more two. By his consent, the descent of a supermind will ensue. That will next follow. And then, and the master gave his darshan to his disciples and withdrew, leaving the Divine Mother in charge as he continued his quest anew. It is the hour of victory, and the gods are awake. Now Shakti will operate for matter's resistance to finally break. So it was that time the Shakti or the Divine Mother then took charge for bringing about the other things on the material that was required. And a lot of transformations started taking place. Later, Auroville was formed, a living conscious experiment was set up. So many different things began after that. So that was what was 24th November 1926. So I think with this, we are concluding our today's session. We looked at two different experiences of Krishna of Shervin. So with this, we can conclude with the Shanti Mantra. If anybody wishes to share or ask something, you are welcome, or we will just conclude.
Sir, I missed the first lesson. What you had mentioned 3 points in
Yeah,
the
so you would like to
writing.
look at the 3 points again.
First,
Okay,
the
just
first one I missed. Second and third, I remember what you said.
yes,
But
yes. So Sri
hmm.
Aurobindo talked about three lessons that Krishna directly taught him. First was at the border of insanity. He found
Ah,
the vista of inner clarity, meaning at the edge, at that edge where everything looks crazy and insane, at that time, full clarity came to him. That was number one.
ah.
Second is, I think you saw that you were there, no? Beyond the
Yeah,
limits of the mind. And the
yeah,
third is personal effort was a complete blunder if you don't have a divine surrender. Complete
yes.
surrender is not there, it's a waste. There's
Hmm.
a like कव्वाली is there ना तूने क्या बनाई तूने क्या सजाई सब किया है तो उसने तूने बातें बनाई.
Oh, correct.
God has done everything. You have only made stories about I did this and I did that. So, all right,
Yes.
Ji, with this, I think we conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Hari Om.
Hari Om. Sure, sir.
सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे
सर्वे
भद्राणि
भद्राणि
पश्यन्तु
पश्यन्तु
मा
मा
कश्चित्
कश्चित्
दुःखभाग्
दुःखभाग्
भवेत्.
भवेत्।
Hari Om Tat Sat. Krishnam Vande Jagadguru.
जगद्गुरु.
Well, Milama, we are yet to find a topic for the next week, so I would request participants to share what we can look at for the next week. Yes,
Okay, sir.
please. Okay, Hari Om Ji.
Hari
Hari Om,
Om.
sir.
Hari
Thank you,
Om.
Hari
sir.
Om Ji. Hari Om Ji.
Sir, can we
Namaste.
discuss connection of the Gita and psychotherapy, this modern psychotherapy, sir?
Modern psychotherapists are trying to fit it into somehow Krishna's model of psychotherapy, they are trying to fit in,
Yes,
but
sir.
they want to do it without Shraddha,
Mhm.
which is not
Yeah.
possible, isn't it? They say
Yes,
we have
sir.
to follow this, but we will not believe in the divine. We'll try to form a different, use the mental logic only.
Oh, yes.
So that is having certain limitations. And nowadays, people are not having time for psychotherapy sessions also. Earlier days, it used to be very nice where the therapist would sit and talk for long hours with the patients.
Yes, sir.
Now,
No, even that
now they
has
are
shrunk.
very happy in giving pills immediately and talk for 5 minutes or 10 minutes. The next patient.
Yeah, that is right.
Yes, sir.
Yes. So psycho, we can just maybe if you want, we can touch on that topic. But I personally did I had the opportunity of working from the medical field with this. Even actually published a paper with a psychiatrist, and it was very interesting because without Shraddha, it was like Nishkam Karma was not possible. There was questions about authorship and all. It was very funny. But
Mhm.
without Shraddha, no? It is
Yes,
very
sir.
difficult. And again, I'm a mechanical engineer. What will I talk about psychotherapy? That we should get a psychotherapist only to speak about.
Sir,
Though
you can talk about
principles
everything.
of Krishna can be imbibed everywhere, including everything, even mechanical engineering, we can get that. We can find that. But so there are certain principles which can be very much used. I can share the paper. We had talked about 4 Ds.
Huh.
Dharma, detachment, duty, and doership.
Okay, sir.
Then one place I talked about the 4 Ds, then I was told you are not allowed to speak about the 4 Ds without the co-author's permission. So then I said, okay, there are more alphabets in English language. I will use
Gee.
them. Yes.
Oh, so
Yes,
nice,
ji.
sir.
All
So
right,
please
ji.
share the paper, sir. I would like
Sure,
to.
ji. I'll share that in
Yes,
the
sir.
group. Yes, ji.
Yes. Thank you, sir.
Namaste,
Thank
ji.
you.
Hari Om, ji.
Namaste, sir. Hari
Hari
Om.
Om.
Hari
Punarmilama.
Om.
Yes. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, ji.